Hey guys and girls, welcome to this week's episode of the B.Invested Birchy podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Birch, and it's the show unraveling the truth to the facade of the 21st century. We're now exiting the matrix and waking up to motherfucking reality. Guys, what is rich? It's a question, right? People always go, oh, if I was rich, if I was like you, this, that, the next thing, right? I've heard the word rich being used so many times, right? And I feel like I know a broke person when I say if I was rich or you're rich or something like that, right? It's like the word rich. I don't think I'd go around to any of my mates and go, oh, rich this, rich that, rich to the next thing, right? Oh, check out me watch, check out this, right? It's, rich is a word that's commonly used with people that aren't rich. I'm not trying to be a dick by saying that, right? It's just rich is a word I feel uncomfortable with. I feel tacky. I feel it's like a tacky word, right? Because what is the definition of rich? I saw the other day, I forget who it was. It was like some person asked a question somewhere, and it was, the answer was very elegant of how it was portrayed, and the answer was, if you wouldn't change anything in your life, then you're rich, right? And there's so many people, like we're living in a world today which is like an illusion of wealth. There's all these traps of rich. And, I remember, a lot of you guys, I'm feeling older nowadays, right? But in the 1990s, before the internet, success and wealth was represented as a big yacht, right? You see all these financial gurus and they've got a suit in front of their red Ferrari. I was going to say red Lamborghini, right? They'll be in front of their red Ferrari and they've got their suit on, like the old school rich dad, poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki style things, right? A big boat, right? A big boat represents rich, right? And it's like, it's just so sleazy. But today, rich, I think, is very different, right? The wealth is very different. For me, when first starting out, what rich felt, sure, a mansion would be cool and, cool cars and all that sort of stuff. But the rich for me was the ability to do what I want, when I want, on my terms, right? So the old slogan before the current B.Invested slogan was live life on your terms, right? And everybody sort of rips off things that I say out there, right? So it's like live life on your terms. Everyone says that stuff out there. So we changed it more fitting to where we are today as a business. But, that was the reason. I wanted to do what I want, how I want, when I want, without the constraints, without asking people permission, right? That for me was a wealth. But a lot of people go chase these illusions of wealth, right? And it could be the cool car, the brand name. I don't post photos and shit online of my personal life. I'm pretty private. I put all this content out there, but I've got, a personal life, right? I have a life outside of my property investing stuff and all that. Contrary to what a lot of people think, right? But I don't go around and post like, hey, I've done this, check out this cool thing, right? Probably 15 years ago I did, right? 10 years ago I used to take, and the media loved that, right? The media loved to get photos of me in front of cars that, have cool number plates on and shit like that. And at the time I've gotten from millions of dollars worth of cars to driving a $500 Mitsubishi one. It's to, they're just a disposable thing. But the real wealth comes in the freedom and the time freedom to do what you want, when you want, how you want. That's to me anyway, right? But there's so many people out there, especially in the world today, we've got Instagram, we've got, people are out there taking photos of their holiday and their fake lips and their fake tits and their fake car and their rented lifestyle. And you'd be like, oh, I want to be beautiful like this chick, or I want to have a cool car like this, or whatever, right? You don't see the back end of their story as well. So instead of using the word rich, I never use that word, right? I just don't like the word rich, right? If you go and speak to what's that saying, right? Like you go and speak to any person, they'll give you 100 things that they want out of life, right? You go to the hospital with someone on death's door without health and they only have one thing, and that's to be healthy and to be alive, right? Everything else doesn't matter. So it's all in the eye of the beholder and the view of yourself. And, I'm not going to go all bloody hippie and spiritual on you here either, but I think it's very important and very crucial to have good grounding and good I look at the world in a certain way and be like, okay, cool, that's one aspect, but what is the other side of the coin? Everything comes with a cost, right? Actually, it's a really good conversation for us to have, right? Everything comes at a cost. Every level of growth that you've had in your life has been faced with adversity. There's always a gatekeeper. No matter where you go in life, there's always someone there to stop you, or some entity or some being or something that's stopping you from pushing forward, right? And a lot of people that say, oh, if I was rich, I'd do this, right? They're not rich because their mindset isn't rich, if you want to use that word, right? It's looking at it strategically and going, okay, well, what can I do different? How can I be different? How can I get to where I want to be? And I think the pressures, like going back to what I was saying before, in the 1990s, they used to have the dude with the suit and the car and the boat and all that. Today you've got, Instagram chicks and, people showing their lifestyle online. The media portrays certain things, right? Look at the Kardashians, right? I want to be like a Kardashian. I want to get a G-Wagon, right? They're there to sell a consumeristic world, right? The consumeristic part is the trap, right? You're trying to get caught into this world to feel validation or fulfill a burning desire. I've seen so many people that take photos of possessions and put them online, but then it's like, well, if you took those possessions away, there's not much else to you as a person, right? So it's all just an image, but it's flimsy on the back end. So, everybody's goal is different. The question I ask everyone when they become a client here at B.Invested is, what is your goal? What are you trying to achieve, right? Sometimes I hear people and they're like, I want to buy a cool car, right? It's cool. Aim for that, right? I haven't heard that much nowadays. Like most people I just don't want to have to work. That's the biggest thing, right? I just don't want to have to be tied to a job or a boss or whatever. I don't want to have to send my wife back to work. I want to focus on the retirement. Everybody's goal is different. But then what are the steps? What is the cost in order to get that, right? The cost of having a cool social media platform comes at the cost of, maybe a financial aspect or whatever. So deal with the cost of sitting at that table and make sure that the steps that you're doing are going to get you closer to where you want to be. Just got a few little notes here. So for me, these aren't in my notes. For me, the older I get, if I go through different cycles of my life, in the 20s, I was broke as fuck, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I want to get cool cars, right? You get the cool cars. It's like, I didn't care if I got a cool car or not a cool car, right? The cool car is mad, right? Driving around a cool car like a boss, great. But then when you go and park it in the car park, you've always got an anxiety. Someone's going to scratch it. What the fuck's happening to it? All that sort of stuff. You have a shit box, who cares? Throw the keys, leave the car unlocked, right? In the 20s, I wanted that. In the 30s, I realized, hey, this system in the world we live in is broken, right? And I look at it now, for me, like health is rich, right? I walk around and there's a saying, right? People are like, oh, fuck, Birch getting jacked nowadays, whatever. It's like, if I'm at 40, then everyone at 40 is starting to lose their hair, getting fat, whatever the case may be. I need to look after my body, right? I've done the hard yard of building the income side of the wealth, but I need to look after my health so I can enjoy the experiences of life by not being sick and all that. But that all comes at a cost, right? You want to eat healthy. What someone say for their weekly shopping? I don't know what a weekly shopping would cost, right? And $200, $300 for groceries, for living, whatever. I know to go to a nice shop to get nice, good quality ingredients, it doesn't come cheap, right? Like a little box this big, sit on your lap in the car. It's just a little box. That's $500 if you want to eat healthy, right? The food that we're being faced with out there is full of poisons, right? It's full of chemicals. It's full of microplastics. It's full of seed oils. It's full of all these things. I'm not going to go full into this, right? And, sidetrack ourselves into the fact of our food being poison, but it is, right? 99% of what you see in the supermarket's full of poison in there. Stuff that's not good for you. So if you want to eat healthy, that comes at a cost. And, if you want to be, what is the cost you're willing to pay for the outcome of what you want? So yeah, for me nowadays, like the income is one thing, but once you get to an income level, once you get to an asset position, what else becomes important and what else becomes, important to you? Is it your family? Is it what you do with the 24 hours in the day that you're given? Is it the choices that you have to make, right? Oh, hi boss, can I please have some time off to go and see my kids, right? That's not what people want to do. That's not what had to happen in time gone by. It has happened. But as you saw from my video a few weeks ago about the feudal peasant slavery system, we're more freer thousands of years ago than what we are today, right? Even back in the 90s when you had dad goes to work and mum stays at home, that's all financial, but it's an attack on, I don't want to go into that either, right? But it's like now mum and dad both have to go and work to be able to afford things. So get your finances. Like once you get your finances, you can live an abundant life. You can do things. You're freeing yourself from the shackles, right? I always say get yourself 100 grand a year income because 100 grand a year income is pretty good, right? Get yourself 300 grand income, even better, right? But most people are sitting there going, oh, yeah, it's all too hard, fucking YOLO, whatever. No, make those decisions so you can free yourself from the trap of the life and you have the ability to do whatever you want. System doesn't talk about that. So the media will portray to you, so the definition of rich in a society is money, assets, lifestyle, belongings, brand names, shit like that. For me, time is rich. Time is wealth. You got the time freedom and you got the options and choices that you've got in your life. So the health side of things are very important. So, what is the importance that you're placing on? What is the weight that you're placing on things? The media will portray, cheap thrills. The media will portray, advertisements. I look at movies, right? I don't watch any movies, hey, but if I've seen a part of a movie or something, or oversee something in the background in a situation that I'm at or whatever, I'll be like, that there looks like an ad for placing Coca-Cola on the table, right? That there looks like an ad for placing a vehicle in the background or a handbag or whatever. So, be conscious of what you're feeding, not just yourself, but be conscious of what you're feeding your mind, because that'll ultimately determine the actions and choices that you take based on, your lifestyle. Things that I see from people that don't have wealth, I'll use the word wealth because I know rich isn't a word that I like to use, right? So poor people, less fortunate people will say more money brings in less problems, right? Let me say, if you don't treat your money well, it'll just be like your lover, right? He or she will just piss off if you don't treat them with love and respect, right? So when it comes to having things, the more things you've got, the more that it is to take care of it, right? You want to have one car? You got one car. You got 10 cars and you look like a G and you're walking around, driving around, I'm so cool. Now you got 10 cars you need to look after, right? You've got assets, you've got wealth, you need to look after that. But the less fortunate will say more money, less problems, right? But it's not necessarily the thing. People will say the poor people say, this is the thing I've experienced over the years. If I was you, what I would be doing is this, right? And I always think, like, when someone gives me advice, I'm like, well, if you were me, you would be doing this. Well, that's because you're not me, because you didn't do that, right? Because of the decisions that are around. So be very conscious, because there's lots of talk and lots of people who want to give you advice and opinions and whatever, but that's based on their knowledge base on what's around them. Other myths about it is people say you're not rich until you have this, or you've got to have money to make money, and all those self-limiting beliefs. And people will believe their story. And this actually goes into stories and the bullshit that people tell themselves, getting all animated now, right? Because people will tell stories to justify why they don't have, or why they shouldn't have, or why they can't have. And I think 99% of the reason that people aren't in a position of where they want to be of happiness or content is because I reckon the reason, like when I look out there, 99% of the reason why people aren't doing what they wanted to do or aren't in the position where they want to be is because of the story that they tell themselves. People tell themselves stories as to why they can't do things, or they have self-limiting beliefs. just that story, the reason, the excuse, I can't do this because of this, I can't do that. I've fallen trapped to it, right? In different areas of my life, not necessarily money, but whether it be go to the gym and go, I can't push that. It's like, well, once you fucking push that, you can push it, right? You just don't know the power of your own strength, and the strength is in your mind, and the ability to overcome that. So, I guess, what are those stories leading you to? What is that story? How is that story holding you back? How's that story supporting you? I see so many people that justify like, oh, I can't do this because of all the intergenerational trauma that I've had in my life. Right? Everyone's got fucking trauma, man. I'm not walking around going, oh, I've got this problem because of this happened to me when I was fucking 15 years old or whatever the case may be. But people do carry that, right? And it can become a defense, like a little kid with a blanket that's like, oh, it's my little comforter. It's the kid with the dummy, right? It's like, that's my story for justifying as to why I can't do something or why I can't be there. So, be very careful of the myths or the people, the talk, whether it's coming from external to you or whether it's internal from you, as a defense mechanism. So just be very mindful of all surroundings around yourself. And I guess the definition, just on that part, right? The definition of rich, right? Are we talking a definition of income? Because someone on 50 grand a year would say 250 grand a year income is rich, right? 250 grand doesn't really get you too far further than the person on 50, right? There's people literally have the ability to push buttons and they'll earn billions of dollars a day from pushing buttons, right? So is it an income perspective that is going to make you feel rich? Is it a capital position that's going to make you feel rich? Is it a net worth position that's going to make you rich? Is it a health position that's going to make you rich? Is it a options, choices, freedom, and lifestyle that's going to make you rich? Define what rich is going to mean for you. As I said at the start, if having no money wouldn't change who you are, then you are rich. And as I was saying beforehand as well, I guess the evolution of that for me has changed over decades, right? And it will change as time goes on. When I first started, it was replacing my income. Then it was about cool shit that I want because I never experienced it in my life. Now it's more about lifestyle, legacy, building intergenerational wealth that's going to surpass me. Throughout that journey, has it been easy to build any of those levels? Like, I reckon if you have a kid, if you don't have kids, you've probably seen a kid somewhere, right? You've probably seen a friend with a kid, a relative with a kid, right? And you get that baby when it's first born, and then you see it again in 3 months' time, you see it again in 6 months' time, see it again in 12 months' time, and it's constantly changed and evolved, right? The kid goes home, its eyes can't open, its head's bobbly. Then after 3 months, it's starting to be alert to the world. Then it starts crawling, and then it starts talking and sitting up by itself, whatever, right? As a human, I think it was a movie. I think it's called Lucy from memory, right? I think it's a movie called Lucy, right? And in that movie, it said like humans only use like 10% of their capacity, right? We have so much more capacity. And at the age of like 12 or the age of 14, the chemicals in our body that release into us stop us from being creative and stopping us to grow. And I think a lot of people get to a point in their life, whether they're 10, 12, 15, 20 years old, and they just flatline at that person. To evolve, to grow, every time to grow, I felt that I have to be the baby again, right? I have to be the baby. The baby has to grow. They have to learn. How can you change so quickly? How can you grow so quickly? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. They should be evolutions. If you haven't grown in the last 12 months, what the fuck are you doing with your life? What things can you be adapting to your life to grow, to change, to become more like that person that you desire to become? If you want to be rich, define what rich is, right? All the people that are poor, they don't even know what rich is. They just think it's bits of colorful paper with dead criminals printed on it, right? Well, the money ain't going to bring you rich, but it's the choices. So if you had money, if you had a room with like fucking trillions of dollars worth of notes stacked up around you, you wouldn't care, right? There's literally wealth all around you. The table, the labor, the human hours that's put this microphone together and the device you're watching this from. That's wealth. That's far greater than pieces of paper with dead criminals printed on it, right? But it's an idealization of that. So work down, what does that rich, if you want to go down that road, what does rich mean for you? And work out a plan on how you get to that level of rich? Is it eating healthy going to make you rich? Okay, well, how much income do you need to become healthy rich, right? How much income do you need to have time rich, right? So I guess the question that I'll leave with you guys today is a few questions that I've got here to leave with you, right? What is your definition of rich today? Is your definition of rich today the same definition of rich that you had 10 years ago? If not, why? What happened? Why did that change? And what do you think it could be in another 10 years? Is your current lifestyle, your current choices that you're making, your decisions that you're making every day, getting you closer to being rich or getting you further away from being rich? And what I mean by that is you'll be like, I want to be healthy. Well, are you fucking feeding your mouth full of McDonald's? Are you feeding your body full of seed oils? Are you getting pissed with your mates? What are you doing? Are they in line with the decisions of where you need to be, right? What habits can you improve? Have you got a partner? Haven't you got a partner? If you haven't got a partner, write a list of the person that you need your partner to be to help support you, or you think you need your partner to be able to support you. Then have a look at yourself and be like, well, that person, am I really the person that's going to be attractive for that person to come and be with me, right? Because I've seen lots of people that go, oh, I want this chick, I want this. I was like, fuck, man, that chick ain't going to fucking look at you, right? So what is the person you need to be to show up for that, right? At every stage when you come into play, at any game or anything you deliver to in life, you have to turn up to be the best person to tackle that, right? And what I mean by that is you're a different person around your friends, that you might be around your spouse, that you might be around your kids, that you might be around your colleagues, but you need to turn up to be that next person. So if you want to be rich, who's the person that needs to turn up to be that rich person, right? No matter what area, whatever rich means for you. If you have a partner, right? If you don't have the partner, work out what the partner needs to look like, because there's so many toxic relationships out there. I'm not even going into that, where the people don't complement each other. So have a good definition of the person so you can get rid of 99% of the things that you don't need and make sure you focus on the things that you need to complement your life. But if you do have a partner, are they of an understanding of where you need to be at? How can you help them get on the same journey? Because I see so many people out there, the husband will say this, and the wife will say this, or, you know, whoever's saying to whoever, right? We're in 2025, right? But if you don't have that person on your side that's going to be fighting with you to help you achieve those goals, you're going to be fighting against each other within. And to be successful is a cool word. It's better than rich. Successful. You can't be successful if you're fighting from within. So make sure you get that person on side as well. And I guess when it comes to setting goals, I want $1 billion in the bank, man, fucking YOLO. Is that what you want? Or is the goal, should it be more around what is the lifestyle that you need to be achieving and then working backwards from there? And I think that's where the big key is in. Is what is the lifestyle that you want to be? And you can do this every decade. Like I'm going to go through this exercise very shortly. Maybe it'd be good for another podcast, right? Is working out, if I'm 40 today and I'm at 50, who's the person I want to be at 50? And what does that person at 50 look like? And what will make me happy to see that person at 50? And what would make me sad if I saw a person at 50? And what would that person look like that I wouldn't want to meet? And what choices do I need to make on every single day to make sure I end towards the person that I want to be like and not towards the person I don't want to be like? And it's so easy if you don't have clarity to go and become the dead shit. But, you know, it takes discipline not to be the dead shit. So work out what it's going to be like in the future, have goals and work towards a better life. So maybe leave in the comments what rich means to you. I've shared to you what it means to me, and it changes from time to time. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully you've gained some creative juices to go and put things in action in your own personal life. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. If you like this video, give us a share, give us a thumbs up, and make sure to tune back every Thursday. Google Play, Apple Play, Spotify, and YouTube. Bye for now.
Like Bilal said, man, we're stuck in the matrix. This my advice, don't care if you take it.